Salute and thank you, NERDSoul. Yeah. Lay Ill Kid at OneYoungsta. Hold it down. Bring that StreetGeek and NERDSoul. Like, comment, subscribe. Hit the bell. Let's go. Look. Stranger Things is all over, y'all. It's finished. The end. They did it. They're all done. You ain't getting no more. At least, who knows? But since it's all over, at least for now, we got everybody back. Bottom square, Cinematic Sorcerer, Solar Grey, what's up?
Hey guys, I'm not the kind of man to say I told you so. Is a lie, because I absolutely am. I called so much on this, and I am so happy that I was correct in my ability to, I guess you could say, be media literate. I was happy about that. I was really happy.
Cool. All right, over here we have writer. Oh, so go ahead.
Yeah, and I am coming at you from the Wizard's Tower.
Got you. And then over here, of course, we have writer-director Jay Sherer. Hey,
it's good to be here. I am happy to report that it's still my favorite show. Okay. Yeah, so every time you see the final season of something, like for example, I think for a lot of people who loved Game of Thrones, it was a pretty rough go of it to say that it was still their favorite show after the last season. I'm not saying that there aren't those people out there. I'm just saying
I know what you're saying.
It's harder. But this one, I wasn't worried about it, but I was a little bit concerned. And no, it's still my favorite show. This is I love the ending. So yeah, it's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna go in and follow on that. Jay, why is it still your favorite show?
I think we got all of the things that we needed, right? Is it perfect? No. Did it work? So this is what I've been telling people. Whenever you rate something, it's super subjective, right? Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes when you say something is a 10 out of 10, people say, wait a minute, how can you say that it wasn't perfect? I'm not saying it was perfect. There's definitely some things that I wish were done a little bit differently. But to me, in terms of being able to end a show and be on the ending that you give me, leaving me on an emotional note that is satisfying, this was a 10 out of 10 in that regard, right? So for me, I hold this finale to be very satisfying for what the show was for me, right? Gotcha. And that made that. So I loved it. It was great.
You made me think about some more stuff. But yeah, go ahead. I'll jump in after, but go ahead.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I mean, all of the things that I wanted it to be of consequence. It was of consequence. Are we going to talk spoilers? I'm sure we're going to talk spoilers, right?
Yeah, we're getting spoilers. I just wanted to get, is it still your favorite show?
Yeah. Still my favorite show, and I got everything that I needed. So there's a few things that I am a little bit annoyed about that I think that are not explained very well, or that I think were done for the purposes of advertising, almost like an MCU movie, but in a way that's kind of more annoying because we can't watch the stage play right now, which is kind of frustrating. But those are annoyances. I think my biggest thing, and this is something we can talk about more extensively, but every single time I see some of these, especially the youngsters, man, the youngsters have this commentary about how bad something is, and they use the term plot hole. And I'm like, please don't use the term plot hole if you don't understand what it means, because you sound ignorant. So there's a lot of people out there calling around about plot holes and then as soon as what they say is a plot hole, I'm like, that's not a plot hole. You just didn't see that on screen and you wish you did. So we can get into that a little bit too. But I find that frustrating.
All right, I like what you said about grading something, because since art is subjective, my grading of something, say if I was to give something a 10 out of 10, or if I say something's a perfect this or perfect that, when it comes to art, the only thing that you could say something is factually perfect is, I guess, something like in science or something like that. But if it's something in art, it's more I guess it's more about, did this entertain me in a way where I feel like I got everything I wanted? So for instance, as someone who is I guess I could say a pretty long-standing fan of Bond, the Daniel Craig Bond is probably my favorite Bond. And of the Daniel Craig Bonds, because I like a more actiony Bond, and then maybe like Roger Moore, but that was like crazy and stuff too. But of the Daniel Craig Bonds, I would say that Skyfall is a perfect movie. But I'm sure there are tons of people that will be like, that movie's not perfect. And because the lighting on scene 2, act 5 was, and I was like, no, that's not what it's about. Like, I got everything I wanted in this movie. I was highly entertained. And another thing I put into my grades, and I would watch this again.
Yep.
Not because there's a lot of movies that might get like Oscars. I'm like, I don't ever want to watch that again. I was moved, but I'm not. And then on the other hand, Bad Boys 2, we can turn that on right now. So, so to this, when you said satisfying, that's kind of how I felt at the finale. I was like, you know what? You did it. Yeah. Like I remember just watching like, okay, all right, you did it. I didn't get what I wanted to get. You didn't do everything I would have wanted you to do or something like that. But I'm like, you know what? All right. I'm glad where I'm at. I'm satisfied. I'm glad where they are. Well, maybe not glad where all of them are, but I'm happy for them. And you know what? Go ahead, Hawkins. But how about you, Solar? How are you feeling about the end? How are you feeling about the show right now?
In truth, I have just had a very good meal. I'm very satisfied. As I was watching the finale, I couldn't help but think back to when the show first started. When the show first started, I didn't know what I was looking at, and I was just kind of in for the ride. And I hate experiencing media that way. I do not like it. I need to know what I'm going into, what to expect, so that I know what I'm looking at. At least genre, okay?
See, I'm the opposite. I'm like, sit down, like, okay, show me what you got.
Yeah.
Then sometimes I'm like, oh.
Yeah. I mean,
all right.
I was mad in 99 when no one told me that Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon was a tragedy. I'm thinking I'm going into a standard kung fu movie. I'm gonna do some stuff and leave the theater feeling pumped, wanting to go down to the workout area, maybe practice some kicks. I didn't want to be like, oh,
this is sad.
Oh, they're okay. But I stuck it out. And I'm not gonna lie, Stranger Things season 1 was amazing for what it was. For someone that didn't know what it was a what am I looking at? But now that we have emotionally bonded with the characters, watched them grow up and all that stuff, there was literally a lot. Yeah, I mean, I look back, I'm like, has it really been 10 years? And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I'm an adult. Time goes really quickly. And I looked at this. I looked at two things. I looked at the finale as it stood, and then I looked at season 5. And I gotta say, this is honestly the way that more shows need to wrap up. Like, there was definitely an intention with this ending. Not, oh, we're done? Oh, yeah. Sure. Let's wrap this up. Another company is going to be hiring us soon.
You know what? Hold on. Tangent time. Tangent time. I understand that type of ending when you don't know you're getting canceled. Like, you think you're getting a season 3 and you don't. But for those of you that know this is a mini series, or like, say it's like, hey, we're only getting 1 season, or this is a mini series and we're getting 2 seasons or something. There's no reason that you shouldn't be able to end the show, or at least set us off on like, okay, this is where they're going.
If it wasn't intentional from the beginning, they were able to look at what they had and say, okay, this is what we're doing with it. This is where the story that we've written so far is pointing. And they weren't too afraid to give us that. And I really like that. I really liked it. I mean, I wasn't expecting a saccharinely sweet ending. Nor was I expecting a grim, dark, realistic, gritty ending. I was expecting something like the ending that we got. And they weren't too afraid to do it. And I applaud that. I applaud that very deeply.
And see, that's where I slightly defer, because I really wanted Elle to make it. And I understand. I get it narratively. But I think we have enough shows and movies like this where it doesn't end like our heroes walk off and they're happy. I'm like, Elle can be happy. Let her be happy. Like, she can let her and Mike go off, and maybe they send a postcard to Hop every now and then. Come on. But besides that, I still enjoyed, man, like I said, I was sitting on the couch like, you know what? All right, you go. Go ahead. So I guess I'll jump into. You know what? Let's jump into the cons first, because usually we don't do the cons first. So I'll throw it to Jay. What are your season 5 or season 5 finale cons?
Well, the biggest con is still the one that I felt like was gonna be a con the last time we talked after volume 2, which was, I just don't feel like you should have shown us the flyer. Just don't show us the flyer. If you don't show us the flyer, we don't expect to see anything from the play. We don't ask the question of for example, none of us have seen the play. The play might end with Henry Creel erasing the memories of Joyce and Hopper and all the people that were in the play with him, right? But we don't know that because we don't know what happened in the play. And so it feels very much like this, it almost feels like a giant plot hole, to use the word plot hole, because it feels like that was going to be quintessential to the plot, although I don't think it was ever meant to be. But when you show it to us and we build it into our heads,
it kind of seem like it, because then we went to the high school 3 times or twice. I know we went there pretty much and stuck around there enough to know, like, this is like when they were here. This is when the parents were here. Okay, cool. So something's going to happen. And then it's like, oh, well, maybe not. But like you said, you see the thing with the names and you're like, oh. And even when we come back, Max is like, they're over there, they're over there, they're over there. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. We might see something.
Yeah. And don't forget, we also had in volume 1 all the references to time travel and the references to Back to the Future. What happened in Back to the Future? People traveled from the 1980s back to the 1950s. So if you send those signals, it is going to give us the impression that you're going to do something in the 1950s that matters to the 1980s. So I think that's still a valid complaint. It's definitely it's not like I'm sitting here going like, I said it was a 10 out of 10 and I loved it. It's just like, don't do that to me, because then it makes me think you're going to do things that you don't do, and then it's like I feel like it's not fulfilled. My only other complaint is more of a state of confusion. I've seen some complaints that I think are completely invalid. Like somebody said, oh, the military should have arrested them all because the military would have never let them get away with all that, right? And it's like, yes, of course, in real life that would never happen. But in a TV show, we wanted to go back to normal, right? We don't need to have the military say, like, you've committed war crimes against us and we're taking you in. Elle is gone. They don't need a reason to have these people around. Like,
well,
it
also,
is what it is.
We are under the assumption that these military guys have the kind of normal authority we think they have.
Right.
Because, yes, they could arrest them, but then their testimony becomes evidence, and you don't want them talking about, upside down, little girl hooked up putting blood in pregnant ladies and stuff. You don't want that. Right. So it might be one of those things where the doc is a failure, scrap the plan, we spend enough money on this, it's done. They just, a whole bunch of black marker over paper and we're done.
100%.
That's kind of how I saw it.
Yeah, that's how I saw it too. So I think that there are some things that like that are not valid. Yeah, but the other thing that I think is a fair complaint is that the hive mind really does matter to the show. However, there's a lot of confusion as to what the hive mind actually means, because there are some moments when Will is writhing around in pain because Vecna's getting hurt, and then there are other moments when you're like, you just chopped off Vecna's head, did you not hurt Will? Like there's no separation there that makes sense. I was okay with it for the little kids because the little kids had the dust, the mind flayer dust come out of them, right?
Yeah, they've already been like released, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. But that was a little bit like again, it didn't ruin it for me. It was just kind of one of those things of like, man, this is real inconsistent with when the hive mind matters to the characters we love and when the hive mind doesn't matter to the characters we love.
Especially since they were so close to one another.
Correct. So those are my main two complaints of all the things that I'm like, man, those two things didn't really land for me that well. Those were the two things where I'm like, I came away being like, okay, that could have been handled a little bit better. But again, those things don't matter to my enjoyment of the show. They just matter to my writing brain going like, you've confused me now, and I would like to rewrite that scene in my head so I understood it better. Is really what it comes down to. So, what about you guys?
Solar?
So, looking for the negatives, huh? Okay. A couple of negatives that I have as far as the ending goes. Honestly, I don't have that many. I was really kind of satisfied with that whole ending thing. At first, I was actually mad about the potential Terminator 2 ending.
Oh, okay.
There's still a chip. So I have to go and I kind of looked at it and I'm like, I don't really like that they're doing this, but I can see how a writer would feel this way because people who watch media nowadays, in my opinion, and boy, am I going to hear it in the comments, but that's okay. I don't think people actually watch media to be entertained as much as it seems they watch media to analyze, critique, and feel better about themselves.
Can I add one thing to that?
I'll get you on that.
Can I add one point to that? I agree with you wholeheartedly, and yet they don't know what critique actually means. So it ends up being an actual opinion that actually is devoid of critique, and that's what annoys me the most.
Got you. Yeah. So, I can see that. Yeah.
So, and I find this as a thing when I'm writing myself. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this, but the people watching are going to are going to be asking 1,000 questions. And I'm like, you know what? No, those people can shut up. I'm just going to finish my damn story. But I think the only problem that I had, the only thing, was that there was no resolution with the hate crime performing jocks that Dustin got into a fight with in season 1.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. What happened to them? I guess they just disappeared. Yeah. They're like, don't worry about it.
Or they got away with it in the way that people do in real life, and that's not what I look for from story. Mm-hmm. But because like last season, I was mad because they formed a lynch mob to take down Eddie.
Yeah.
Yo, they were that hysteria moved fast. I mean, you kind of get why these people are turning up dead in very strange ways. You got this guy that's running around, kind of pumping people up. They're already reason to be mad, scared, angry, all this stuff. The cops couldn't look. Turk from Daredevil or Luke Cage. He couldn't slow it down. It just shows how fast that. And he was somebody in high school. It wasn't even an adult.
Yeah, exactly. So we got these high school kids looking to perform murder, performing hate crimes, and I get that it was the 80s, but like no Animal House type of, and they went on to college, or no epilogue for those guys. Just like what happened to them? Did they leave that town? Just okay, yeah, no, Dustin got into a fight with them at the beginning, and that's all we see of them when they were the man versus man antagonist in the previous season. There was no resolution. But outside of that, I'm like, yeah, but the story ain't about them. So that's kind of sad. That was the big bad part that I saw. Now, the part that I saw that wasn't totally satisfying for me was that we never checked in again on Karen. We didn't see her come out of the hospital. We saw that she had scars and that stupid short 80s cut. But outside of that, it was like, with the epilogue, she was a complicated character in my eyes because she was unsatisfied with her life. There was a whole bunch of stuff. She went to go cheat on her husband with a racist 17-year-old. And then she freaking mothered up and took on a demigorgon with a wine bottle while half drunk, did some improvised explosions. I'm like, all right, they're really bringing her to the forefront because Joyce needs a friend. Because if there's a character, like, quite honestly, if there was a character that went through it in this show over 18, it was Joyce. And, Joyce had Hop, but they should have at least had Karen and Joyce have a beer or something in the same way that the teenagers did. You feel me?
Gotcha.
But it just seemed like after all that was said and done,
you know what? This is random. This is random, and this is super not needed in the show. But now would kind of like to see it. I would like to see newspaper dads like attitude or demeanor change. Now they've both. He's not newspaper dad now no more. Now he's involved and he's because hey, he's seen war, baby. All right, he's seen combat.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing. Like, honestly, Mr. Wheeler, I didn't expect much from him. But the fact that Karen had kind of gone about like nothing was different. Okay, we're back to the way things were. I'm just a little bit scarred up. And my son is kind of a superhero. But yeah. Like, I would have liked a little more resolution on it. Just a little,
Gotcha. For me, the biggest things that stood out to me this season were the vines seemed to be at least ignored or dead, but they didn't explain if they were. But in my mind, I wrote this out. Now, of course, Jay will easily say, and I know we will all say, we shouldn't have to write it around. It should be, right. But in my opinion, when they didn't trip any fail safes, when they touched the vines, I was like, oh, he's probably sucking all the power out to, the big beating heart thing. So, and I just kind of like made it up in my mind and threw it away. Then last episode, I was talking about, man, he's probably going to have a ton of demogorgons and everything waiting for them, or at least available. But and this is something that they probably should have showed, not told, or showed and just instead of not showing anything at all, I think all of the demi-dogs and gorgons were sucked into that kaiju, which looked incredible, but I think they were all kind of morphed into that big kaiju thing. But we weren't shown that, so we don't know, and that's me sort of saying it, but not super sure if they did. So those are the only two things that I was like, hey, what about this?
Yeah.
what? And I was like, well, he probably using all the energy for the heart. So those things are probably like dead vines now. Dead vines are still a problem if you have a chain link fence. But
you want to grab this or should I, Jay?
Go ahead.
You grab it first because I've got a separate commentary on this that I think is apropos.
Okay, see, I'm figuring Jay is going to comment as a writer, so I'm going to comment as a DM. Okay, because this show has all of the story structure to Dungeons and Dragons. Always has since day one. And as a dude who runs games, I can tell you when it comes to the boss battles, especially a split campaign between the actual big bad evil guy and the big bad henchman, you've already got layer actions happening with everything that's going on inside the giant mechanical spider that would have made the writer from Wild Wild West happy. You've got the teenagers, okay, because you got the kids, the teenagers, or at this point, the teenagers, the young adults, and the adults. You've got the young adults using battle tactics, fighting them in the canyons, doing the writer's tribute to Sigourney Weaver / Linda Hamilton and the Nancy character, doing the stuff with the flamethrower and all that stuff, right? You got that happening on the outside. And then you've got the big confrontation between Elle and Henry on the inside. Throwing demigorgons and demodogs at the party would have killed them. It would have been.
So you got to clear. You got to kind of clear the stage so you can have your focus battle. I get it.
Well, yeah, and let me put it in a language that I know you understand. When you're in a beat 'em up and you got the in stage boss, do you still have to fight all the grunts that you were fighting to get to the big stage boss? Not in a good one.
It's very rare. Like usually what'll happen is the big stage boss comes in, you fight him, he might back off the stage for a second and throw some putties or whatever you want to call them at you. You beat them, then he comes back up, you had to hit some more damage, and then he jumps back out, and all right, I get.
So what happened to the demo dogs and the demogorgons?
Don't worry about it. Nah.
That happened. Yeah, it could have been where they lived and all that stuff. But when it comes to a finale, the writers already understand the ending that they want. And these writers wanted a bittersweet to happy ending versus a bittersweet to tragic ending.
Gotcha.
If they wanted tragic, yeah, they would have thrown demo dogs and all that stuff at them, because what would the teenagers on the outside of the Mind Flayer have done against a two-pronged attack? Or what would 11 by herself had done against fighting Henry with all of his tricks and the lair, the shaking and all the stuff that was happening, and then throw demigorgons at her? If she came out of that not unscathed, people would have been like, "Oh man, why didn't she just do it?"
I guess you could have gave Will something to do, but then that kind of splits his focus between the dogs and Henry, and he needs a lot to hold Henry's hand back. So I got you. But Jay, what you got?
Yeah, no, I'm right there with Solar in regards to the of all the complaints that I have heard, some of which I go that's valid, some of which I say are invalid. It all relates to the Duffer Brothers not doing something that they probably should have done in Volume 1 and Volume 2, and that is they sort of introduced too many other characters and subplots and you really kind of need to clear the table. And so what they did was they cleared the table, and a lot of people are saying, well, wait a minute, I cleared the table. They cleared the table, but they cleared the table in a way that I didn't like, right? In other words, I don't want to do the mental gymnastics of what happened to all the Demogorgons. So, and you do that well, Michael. Like, you do that easily. You're like, okay, cool. I'll just like revise that in my head.
Yeah, because we saw the Blob season, which season 3 sort of, because season 1 is essentially kind of like the Poltergeist season, sort of, I guess you could say. Season 2 is like maybe like I don't know which one I can't remember which one I relate that to. And then season 3,
like Exorcist in a way.
Yeah, Exorcist or something like that. Season 3 is the Body Snatcher season / Blob. So I figured, what he did with the people, which is that's what he did to the Demogorgons. He just pulled them into the big thing, which looked incredible. Yeah, which probably costed a lot of money. But it looked incredible.
Yeah. But when you do that, when you overcomplicate something, and by the way, the way the Duffer Brothers overcomplicate is that they added Derek, they added Holly, they made them main characters, right? Mm-hmm. So now I understand.
We like them, but they also took away screen time and story time.
Exactly. So, and I think so that so if you are like, this would just go out to anybody who wants to be a writer, because if you don't want to be a writer, then you don't even understand like why they would do things and why they wouldn't do things. Like Solar explained it really well. You have to clear the table to get to the heart of the show. And if you fail at the heart of the show, you've failed. If you fail at the heart of the show, then you, Solar, and I come to this program and we go, oh, bummer, we didn't like the finale, right?
And we start rewriting it.
Exactly. We start rewriting it from the beginning. But if you're a writer, this is the one lesson you can take away from this, is be careful about adding stuff, particularly the later in the story you get, because there will be this thing of people going like, yeah, but you didn't even clarify all the other things that I wanted clarified, because there's all this extra content in there. And I think that's the one thing that I would say could be probably improved. Because, for example, if you don't add some of those extra characters, are you even going to showcase the flyer about the play? No, of course not. You'd be like, no, we're narrowing focus. We're not going to open up that there's a play that should have been going on, right?
Still on that flyer.
Well, yeah, I'm very annoyed by the flyer. But yeah, I mean, like everything that I see as a complaint is sort of like, yeah, they had to land the plane. And when you have to land the plane on 5 really long seasons of television, there are some things that are just not going to be things that you care. They're not important to the landing of the plane. So you just throw them off the plane because they don't need to land, right? And that's what happens. And it's a good thing that it happens, because otherwise you actually can't land the plane at all. But it does get frustrating for some people. Now,
because even with a way that I think you could probably do it, outside of the show, you could probably do it in an advertisement, but you still got it. It still takes money. Like, okay, imagine it's dark. You hear Vecna talking about, it's time, y'all time's is up. I'm going to get y'all, whatever, right? And you hear the heart, that pulsating heart beating. And as it's beating, you see the vines kind of like shriveling up. But you still got to pay for that. Like, that's not free. Like, someone like Weta or somebody, they got to do that. And even if it's
somebody's
only, say, 30 seconds.
25 an hour to make those vines go.
Yeah. So, but if you do that in the advertisement, by the time we get to season 5 opening, we're like, oh, okay, cool. He's been sucking all those the juice up. So all the vines are kind of dead. And then we can kind of go on. But that still costs money. Yeah. It costs extra money because it's technically not in the story.
Yeah. I think they might have been better off doing that instead of introducing the concept of, I understand that they're trying to functionally say, why is Vecna trying to draw 2 dimensions together, right? And so they have to explain the wormhole. But I do think that they would have made people mad if they did this too, though. Just said, that the upside down is a dimension between these two things. We're not going to have exotic matter. We're not going to showcase all this stuff happening and just make it more mystical as opposed to scientific. I think they could have done that, and then they would have had more money because you wouldn't have had to show the buildings melting and you wouldn't have had to show all that kind of stuff. That would have saved them a lot of money to be able to do what you were talking about. I think that would have been a little bit more satisfying than what we got. But again, it's not a plot hole. It is a unrevealed thing that you go, oh, I wish there was a reveal for. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's a different problem. A plot hole is literally, we established that character A was in location A. We established that character A can't move, but now all of a sudden character A is in location C. That's a plot hole. Like you go, okay, wait a minute. You said that they can't move. Now they're there, and you never explain it. That's a plot hole.
I do not understand.
Exactly.
If you want plot holes, people, and you like supernatural type of stuff, watch the show Supernatural. Now, at the same time, that show has like 15, 16 seasons, 17 seasons, something like that. It's a lot. I know there's a lot to remember, but for people that love the show, they're like, hey, but in season 8, you told us that you can't do that.
Yeah. Exactly. So I think there's just too much. My whole point is there's just too much on the table. And gotcha. I think that to Solar's point, they made really good, strong decisions about what they were going to focus on and what they were not going to focus on.
All right, cool. All right, so let's talk about some people we like. I'll throw out the first person that I really liked in this. You know what? At first, I was kind of upset about, and I was like, "Why are you here?" But you know what? Good on you, Derek. You know what? I like you. He turned around. Look, you know what? You too can turn it around. Cause Derek turned it around. You look at him. He went from, he was a piece of work, and now I like him. He's lovable. He's delightful, Derek. And all it took was almost dying. And I mean, hey, but I liked. He's a new character that they brought in. I like him. Oh, what's up?
I actually felt bad for Derek come the beginning of the second bit. Because, when they had that whole cult mentality thing going, and Derek was like, no, Sam was lying. Because, look, I'm a younger brother, all right? And every younger sibling has that moment where one of the older siblings isolates them and says, look, if you snitch, mom ain't gonna be home all day. Like you might get away with this, or you might be able to get me in trouble now, but we still live together.
But you live with me.
I'm gonna get you eventually. And I'm like, ooh, I've seen those discussions. Those were put toward me. So it's like, yeah, I feel bad for Derek because that's
he faded into the bushes on that one. He was like,
but I've always understood the Derek character because he was a rude little snot. But you tell me this: was there ever a time in your history where the time came that you could get away with something that you couldn't before? Derek's parents never came down on him for cussing. So what was he doing? Every other word.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was in junior high, my friends were like, bro, tune it down a bit. Like, can you have one sentence without an expletives? And I'm like, fuck no. It's like serious. I'm like, okay. So I understood what the character was and I understood where he was coming from. Did y'all get that whole vibe of like, if there was another season, Derek and Holly would end up being the couple? Like, did y'all get that?
I wouldn't be against that. You know what? I wouldn't be against that. You know what I'm saying? They've kind of like struggled through the darkness together, they went from kind of being bullies to, well, he went from being a bully to like the nice guy. Now they have some history. You know what? I wouldn't be mad at that. I'd be like, okay. You know what I'm saying? Derek's, he's good now. So I'll allow it.
Good, but I don't know if he's tolerable. But then I've never really liked he's a jerk, but he's our jerk in a group of friends. You know what I mean?
Oh man, he's not. Derek has changed. He's not the person you have to explain. So make him less of a jerk.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I've never.
So since we have so many characters, I'll throw it to Jay first, so we can start wrapping up. Sort of, kind of how they wrapped up on the show. Wrapping up the groups. I'll throw it to Jay first because this just felt good to me. I want to talk about Hop and Joyce first. Love. Beautiful love. How do you feel about that ending? Or those two characters in general this season?
I liked the characters. I was glad that Hop finally had his moment in the hallway where he was going up against the military guys. That was good. It was good to see him do that. We know he has a military background, so that worked really well. I loved Joyce's moment with cutting off Vecna's head. It was great. Don't mess with my family. That was great.
And I like that.
A great line.
I'm gonna interject real quick. I like that it wasn't quick.
Yeah.
I think that was a very good directorial decision of, be like, you did all this. I'm flashing back to season 1. Now I'm going to chop off your head. Okay, hold on. No, I'm really doing this.
Yeah. I'm like,
more slowly.
Chopping someone's head is a little bit harder than, I don't have the strength of Thor. I can't just one swing it.
The only thing I'll say about Hop and Joyce specifically, I'll say two things. One is a theory that I have. I have never felt like there was a lot of chemistry between those two characters. So while I like that they end up together, part of me is like a little bit worried that it's more of a trauma bond than it is an actual love story. But that's just me. That's just my feeling about it. It didn't bother me that they got together. It just was a little bit like, okay, I can see where you're going with this. I really liked the scene with Hop and Mike, and Hop telling Mike about what he's learned about life and like how if somebody dies in your life, how you overcome that. I thought that was really cool. But my theory is that I think that when the Duffers talk about there being a potential spinoff, let's not forget that the original title of the original series that they were pitching before Stranger Things was titled Montauk. Joyce and Hopper are going to move to Montauk, and they also said that they would not be following any of the main characters or any of the kids. Basically, what they said, we're not going to follow any of the kids in an offshoot story. Well, you could definitely do an offshoot story where Hop and Joyce are in Montauk, and there's a different conspiracy with the government going on there.
I'd watch that.
Yeah, I would too. I would too. Yeah, I would too.
King
so
of Queen,
I love those two characters.
Stranger Things style.
Yeah. I love those two characters. I love the scene. I mean, how can you go wrong with that song choice to be singing when you're going to propose to somebody?
Especially all they've been through.
Yeah, exactly. And it was fun to see the waiter that he had berated last time. And what was that, season 3? I think season 3 was when he got off the waiter.
Yeah, I think it was 3.
Yeah, it's fun to see him again. So yeah, I liked it. I thought it was a really touching moment. I just am not super into their chemistry, so I hope that that's not going to become a problem when they get to Montauk.
All right, gotcha. I kind of felt the same way chemistry-wise in like season 2.
Yeah.
In season 2 and 3.
Yeah. But I was about to say nothing about your chemistry with anybody from season 2. Rest in power, Bob.
Exactly.
But and we love, like, when I rewatched this show earlier this year from the beginning. Yeah. The second I saw Bob, I was like, "Oh man," because I forgot about. I'm like, "No, man, no." But
awesome.
After season 4, I was like, no, this is real. This is real. She came across the world to get her man. So you know what? This is real. But Solar, how about you, Joyce and Hop?
Joyce and Hop, love it. love it. I did kind of have that fear of trauma bond, but then I thought back to the last 3 seasons, you know, and what they remind me of is a real couple, because chemistry only lasts so long. And after the honeymoon phase is done, you know, they are together. It's one of those.
I got you.
When I look at those two, not just the trauma bond of everything they went through, but the fact that they still want each other at that point, you know, specifically because of Hop. Because Hop made it very clear what he was, what he is, what he's been through. So he ain't the kind to just drop a ring, you know?
Yeah.
He's not just, hey, we've been together for 3 weeks, we should get married. He's like, after everything I've gone through, do I want to start that part of my life all over again? I lost 2 daughters. I lost a wife. I'm still the sheriff in this little town. And do I want to go down that road again?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I'd be willing to go down that road with her. And
in a new town.
Yeah, in a new town, like away from here. And
we lost him.
We lost. Well, I'll jump off of something real quick from Solar. He was talking about, you know, chemistry only lasts so long, and you and I know, and I'll say, because Jay's married, I'll say this to anyone who's watching. And all right, cool. Jay, Solar's back, so I'll finish this real quick. So Solar, come in.
So,
I'm gonna say this real quick. Then Solar, you come back in about the chemistry only lasts so long, which is true. And if you're out there, you know what I'm saying, you know, maybe you newly married or whatever, you're out there, you're doing your thing. Chemistry only lasts so long. Once you have a ring on, you also have a duty to perform your husbandness. All right, it's not just like, oh, I feel when the wind blows my way. No, that's your job as husband. All right, so it's your job. You have an obligation to be a husband to this wife, you know what I'm saying, or wife to this husband, or whatever y'all doing. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying from my perspective, husband to a wife. So yeah, even when the chemistry fades, or you know, y'all ain't vibing right now, you have an obligation to your wife to be a husband. You don't get to be like, oh well, you know, I ain't feeling you right now, so you know, I ain't gonna be a husband for 3 days. Nah, it doesn't really work like that.
It does not work like that.
The husband every day.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what you said because it's raining down here and the internet backed off, but I caught the last bit. And I will say, I will take the word of a happily married man when it comes to marriage. Wish I knew more of them when I was married. But again, there is chemistry and there is smuggle yourself across the planet to go against a hostile government to rescue you.
Yeah.
Let's loose a Demogorgon.
You know,
crazy.
Yeah, and let me be I'll be a little bit more, even more precise. Well, I have a hard time as a person who now makes movies. I have a really hard time wanting to criticize other people's ways of making things. But when I say chemistry, I think part of it for me is I kind of don't feel like David Harbour is that into Joyce as a character. And that's where I say chemistry. So I'm not, and that's not a criticism of his performance, because I think he like absolutely nails it with 11 every single time. Like he seems like he wants to be her dad, and he seems like he's nailing it every single time. And maybe that's more what I'm responding to when I say that. So it's not like the concept of the characters or the concept of each one of them, but it's like the specific performance given in that moment. It's almost kind of like I don't think you really want this, you know?
Gotcha.
I'll back you on that. I will back you on that, because given everything we've seen David Harbour in over the past 5 years, with his acting chops, he has really been putting in the work to be a dad.
Absolutely.
And not much else.
Yep, 100%.
You know, I mean, he's really trying to take like America's Dad titles from James Avery, because you know every time it's like between he and Pedro Pascal.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, that's the dad I want. And I haven't felt that way since Uncle Phil, you know? So I can see that if his acting isn't showing a whole lot of significant other energy, I think it's because he's blowing his wad on being the dad everybody wants.
I think that's totally fair. Okay. He also is expending energy, and this is maybe the highest compliment I could pay an actor. He is the most Harrison Ford-like of any actor that I've seen since Harrison Ford. And that's and that's a really hard thing to replicate. A lot of people try to replicate it and they can't.
No, I can very much see that in the I've got your back 100%, but don't talk to me right now.
I'm the every man who can still kick your ass. You know what I mean? Like all of those things that go into like how he pulls that off is exceptional. Yeah, I totally agree with your take on that, Solar. I think he's concentrated on the other area so much more that it's harder to buy him in the other one. But I think that given the space to do it, he could. I'm just thinking like, hey, you only put him in a couple scenes where he has to be lovey-dovey with Joyce. A lot of the other relationship that they would have been developing was off screen. You know what I'm saying? So
we didn't really see it.
Yeah, so.
And he didn't wake up and say, "Where's Joyce?"
Yeah. Right.
Oh man, Star Wars. Oh boy, I love you. I do, but I'm trying. But, all right. I'll go to the young adults next.
I like that older guy that can. You know what? I would put John Goodman in that category too.
Okay.
Along with America's Dad. I think I got his. Yeah.
So the young adults, we got Jonathan, Rockin' Robin, we got Nick, we got the warrior queen Nance. I was like, they really want her to be somebody. Like, yo, her agent, like they gonna make sure Nancy is somebody. And you got, of course, Steve, the neighborhood dad. All he wanted to be was a dad. We didn't even know all this time. Steve was being cool. He had the boxy bins back in the day. You know, look, couldn't tell Steve that, and he just wanted to be a dad. Just wanted to be the neighborhood coach. Look, hey, good on you, Steve. But it was cool seeing them like, all right, well, I guess this is sort of over. And well, what do we do? Well, okay, we'll still hang out and chill. We'll make sure that we still get up somewhere, because we can't. What am I going to be like? Hey, man, remember that time it was blood all over your body? You can't talk about that. So like we can get back together.
And talking about TPS reports and Game of Thrones at the water cooler don't exactly hold that much.
Yeah, and when the guy at the printer is like, or at the water cooler is getting a little too edgy with you, and you snatch him up, they're like, "Yo, what is wrong with Steve?" It's like, "Oh no, see, Steve has seen some real stuff."
Yeah.
like when Jonathan's in class and someone, you know, is getting a little snide with him, and he just like kicks him in the chest. They're like, "Yo, he's crazy." It's like, well, no, it's just a response. It's just gotta reel him in a little bit.
He is crazy, and it's justified. Yeah, honestly, I like that they inadvertently, but they still gave us the reason that the Legion Hall exists. You know, because at this point they are vets, and who are they going to hang out with? You know, you can make relationships with other people, sure, but these are my people. Like, these are the ones we've been through it. Okay, these are my space traveling buddies. So, you know. And it's like, well, you don't talk to me in the same way that you talk to Robin. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you and I go through an interdimensional portal on the edge of absolutely nothing to fight a 5-story
spider monster?
You know?
No, we fought a spider monster twice. Oh,
yeah,
2 times.
Yeah.
You weren't there when I was working at Two Scoops or wherever the Scoops Ahoy.
Right. Would you have gone for me when I was in that outfit? No, you wouldn't. You know, which would have been cool when I came to work because something had kicked me all up and down the block. No, you wouldn't. You know. So yeah, I mean, it's that whole friend thing. I love the resolution between the love triangle. Loved it. Love when writers do that. Where it's like, I'm trying to get her attention. Look, dude, I'm just trying to be her friend. Well, I think she's still into you. I promise you she's not. You know. And it was like, oh yeah, it was the kid thing, huh? Yeah, it was. All right, cool.
Do you think 4 would have?
I hate them for the fake out. Because everywhere online, you might not know this, Jay, because you unplug.
Yeah.
But everywhere online was like, you know, we're gonna lose a main character, where somebody is gonna die. Stranger Thing kills somebody every season, and we do. And they're like, all signs point to the hair. Everything points to the hair. The hair. The hair is the one. It's gonna be the hair. And was it the hair? No, it was not. They make us think it was the hair. No, they did not. I'm like, no, I see what you're doing.
They kind of let the internet run with it and didn't say anything.
Yeah. However, I do very much appreciate who saved it.
Yeah.
You know, I like that a lot. With the, I don't like you, but I don't. That doesn't mean I want to see you dead.
Yeah.
Just means I don't like you. You know, and that whole. And by the way, we broke up. Like, seriously, dude. She ain't for either one of us, okay? I'm a filmmaker.
She's for the streets. No,
yeah, she out there for that action. I want to make up the action. She wants that action. So, yeah.
But man, it was nice. It was nice seeing a group of friends. It's kind of like the group of college friends that kind of get back together every now and then. Usually, since we just passed it, usually it's like if someone throws a Christmas party and we all kind of descend back upon Virginia, and unless we live here like myself, we all come back and then we're like, oh, cool, how you been? It's been a whole year, man. This is crazy. DC is wild, or New York is incredible, or I hate New York. I want to leave, but they're not letting us leave, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, oh, okay, well, see you next year. I'll catch you on Steam or something if you're playing. It's like...
Yeah. And we thinking, oh yeah, it wasn't like that time we had to fight the giant spider, huh? Which time?
Remember when we were tied up back to back, getting the truth serum? Yeah, good times, right? Because you can't say that to someone who doesn't know. Yeah. Because if you say you say that around me, I'm like, well, hold up. Why were y'all tied up?
Yeah.
Who has truth serum?
Oh, you know, we're like the Russians.
Yeah.
The Russians.
It's like, wait, you were fighting the Russians. There's a lot more to this story. Like,
yes,
5 seasons.
A whole lot.
Yeah. And then the military shows back up because you shouldn't be talking about that anyways.
Like, we heard
exactly.
You. Yeah. I thought that was a great scene. I thought what was really great about that scene is that it felt like each of the characters was still growing up and still learning what the real world was like, but still on the path that they should be on. Right? Like, even though Nance said, like, hey, I dropped out of college and I'm only an intern now, even though we saw her be like fully outloaded with guns, like, she doesn't seem like she'd be. And then even Robin makes the joke, like, oh, you joined the Navy SEALs? Like, that's what we all expected of you, you know?
Yeah.
Great joke. And then the fact that, like, Steve doesn't leave and that he and then I think the other thing about the really cool thing,
you gotta learn the ritual of chew.
Yeah, exactly. He's gonna have to. The thing that I loved about Steve's arc is that, and I didn't pick up on this at all, but in season 4, when he tells Nancy that he wants to have 6 kids, I want to have 6 little nuggets running around. There's actually a picture of Steve, and he's with all of.
Oh no!
So it has Elle and Max there, and he has 6.
Dad.
Yeah, and so it's kind of like, and so then when he moves on to being a coach and Derek's playing for him, someone brought up that he also, like, he's the one that had the bat with the spikes in it, and he's now coaching Little League, so there's bats there. Like, I think that they handled that really well. Then we get to see that really brief scene where he's going to go camping with Dustin, which I thought was awesome. So I think they handled a lot of that really well. Robin being like kind of out. The only thing I'll say is that they were pretty vague about Robin and Vicky and what happened there, because they didn't. I mean, they dropped Vicky at the end, man. They were like,
I guess they're still together. I mean,
who knows, man?
I want to talk about that though. I really want to talk about that because this show did something that I really liked, and it was over the whole course of the show we saw coupling up, coupling up, coupling up, coupling up.
Yeah.
And then after all was said and done, 2 survived. Just 2. You know, I like that they showed that, it didn't work out between Ryan and what's her name, but you know what? Hey, that's high school.
Yeah.
The fact that it didn't work out and that Mike and Elle didn't get a happily ever after, I loved it. Yeah. I loved it. Because so few people, I swear to God, my phone has not rang in 2 days. I sit down with you guys. But I love the fact that with everything that was going on, it wasn't like Elle was going to be allowed to stay in Hawkins and live a life.
Right.
You know, and I really loved that they showed that, you know. I do like that Lucas and Max stayed together because those 2 growing apart and breaking up, not after this last season.
Right.
You know, not after, they are stuck together.
I mean, Lucas pretty much proved to Max that he was in it for the long run because he never gave up. You know what I'm saying? Like if they didn't stay together, it'd be like, wait a minute, he has the staying power that any character has ever had. You know what I mean? Like,
it really proved to Max that she was in it for the long haul.
Yep.
Because remember, she didn't need Kate Bush.
Yep.
She needed Lucas.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, she needed Lucas to do what he do and to be who he is.
And he was like holding her hand and stuff every day.
And that's actually my favorite. Those 2 characters are my favorite ending of all of them.
Boy, that's perverted so much. Sorry, the person that's calling is the dude that introduced me to Mike. So, but it's all right. He'll see this because he's getting a link. I'm like, you were calling me while I was doing this podcast. I was telling you that I was about to start when you first called. But I really liked that everybody else had to move on with different love interests and that they were able to, you know, because too many shows do the audience likes seeing these 2 together and we're just gonna put them together. No. You're gonna do a coming of age story, they gotta come all the way of age. Where
Solar, you love La La Land.
Huh?
You love La La Land.
Actually didn't see it.
Well, you have to see it because I love it for all of the reasons that you're talking about, and that is kind of a spoiler. But you should watch it because it's amazing.
Not gonna lie, it's the reason I liked Bridesmaids. Where it was like, I'm gonna dump the guy that actually likes me and go for the stupid guy, and now I'm gonna go back to the guy that likes me, and he ain't having it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yay, self-respect on film. You know, man. But the fact that people were able to stay friends and they knew, like, I don't believe that old monicum of men and women can't be friends. And I definitely don't believe you can't be friends with your exes. I believe that you should be friends with your exes after you heal from the breakup. And primarily because it's always good to have a friend that knows you. I mean, I say this all the time. A real friend is somebody who knows everything about you and likes you anyway. And the fact that, you know, the young adults are like, yeah, the two dudes in this thing dated Nancy, and we're good. We're good. We know we ain't the ones for her. But that don't mean we can't, like, it's what Harrington said to Bullcut Sr.
Bullcut
you know,
Sr.
I knew it wasn't the one, but I would rather have her in my life as a friend than not to have her at all. You know, and I think that was a really important thing to be said in this day and age of disposable people. You know,
Gotcha.
I really like that the high school sweethearts didn't end up happily ever after together, but they ended up happy and together. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I really like that. The adults had to earn it. The kids had to earn it. And the high school folks didn't earn it, so they didn't get it. And I love that. And I really like the fact that Mike and Elle didn't end up together and that they showed how much that hurt. I really like that. I think that was my favorite emotional beat.
So let's go on to the kids / high schoolers now, since we're so far from the beginning. But we got Mike, we got Dustin, Lucas, Max. We're back playing the game. Will, he's kind of like front and center on the campaign.
Oh, that's what it was. That was my complaint. I made a note of that, but I didn't bring my notes to the podcast. You cannot get through Curse of Strahd in one night. You cannot do that.
Maybe they were playing it really fast.
I promise you cannot get through Curse of Strahd in one night. But go on.
So you have them all together. They're having genuine fun with one another. They're happy with one another. And even when Mike is talking about the storytelling and he starts to, speak about like where they're all going off to and writing their, like happy tales, because Max is like, that's it. It's like, yeah, people, even before Mike started, I was like, yeah, people could be happy. Like, just, yeah. And they were happy.
No, I need an epilogue.
The end. And they were happy. And they were happy and the end. But I like how he talked about Dustin, he talked about Lucas, Max, talked about Will, talked about of course, Elle. And they, all of them, like, I believe. And it was beautiful. And then, I mean, it's one of those things where it's left ambiguous to a point where I'm like, I'm not against this ambiguous ending, because we have the ending where we're pretty sure is the ending, but then you bring in Mike's story and the belief of the team. Now, of course, we could be leaning a little bit more supernatural instead of sci-fi, which this show is a little more sci-fi than supernatural, but the whole team believes. And they were crying. Never know. You never know.
You know what?
But I did enjoy it. Even Mike writing the stories at the end. It just felt satisfying, and that they were still together and they were still happy. I liked it.
Yeah, and guess what? I believe.
Yep.
And I really liked, and now that I'm remembering what notes I wrote down, I really, really liked that they did something very smart, which was he ran that last game of D&D to soften them up to the possibility. And it was very much and audience members, can you hear me in the back?
Yep. With
the anti-magic field and the big speakers and stuff and everything that came to him at the graduation. And it was like, no, that's actually, that tracks. That actually tracks. And from a story perspective, it gives Kali a reason to be there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I can actually, I actually believe in that ending, because the Terminator 2 ending of her sacrificing herself, and being shut down, that's not satisfying. That's not satisfying from a storytelling point of view. It's realistic, and I hate that word when it comes to stories, because I'm like, where do you draw the line? We're talking about a little girl with telekinesis, a government conspiracy, monsters, and a grown man with telekinesis that wants to destroy the world and breaks people's bones from across freaking dimensions. But the little girl living through everything, that's not realistic. I can't stand that. But the whole idea, you draw the line? Yeah, exactly. But with Kali going, you know what? This is the new plan. and this is the new plan that you can't tell anybody. You know, yeah, I was always supposed to die here because I ain't got what you got. You know,
she was also surprised when Hop came back for her too.
Yeah, she was, and well, she was surprised when Hop came back, but she was really surprised when she saw with her eyes how much Hop cares. Because that's foreign to her. She only knew about being used. She didn't have real friends, let alone family. Dude, family? You know. So she's like, oh man, you got Uncle Phil. He's just gonna throw me out the house in a cutaway. But you know, you got all this? No, I can't let you die like this. I got a different plan now. I got a different plan. And you know, because you know, as soon as we get through all this, we still got the military to deal with.
Yeah. And so it's one of those things where it's like, oh God, you too. Look. All right, we get it. Like, come on.
So it's like, look, the military were hunting me, and the only way I stayed safe all those years was convincing them I was dead. So this is what we gonna do. This is the last big sister thing I can do for you, because frankly, I was crap at being a big sister. So yeah, I honestly believe that whole thing. So yeah, I believe that was the plan.
Nice. Yeah. So, Jay, how do you feel about the kids? Where they're in, how we're sending them off, their relationships?
I loved it. I loved it that, like, so one of the elements of the story is that they start to get away from D&D a little bit in season 3 when the relationships all start happening, and Will still wants to play D&D, but nobody else wants to play D&D. And I think one of the cool things is that they've all matured enough to realize that, like, this is just a game that we like, so we're gonna play it. You know what I mean? Like, it was, and I think that Will or Mike bringing it up, like, because he's the leader of the group. They all do what Mike says they should do, and by him saying, like, hey, we could go to that party and we're never gonna remember any of that stuff, but if we go home and play D&D, we're all gonna remember that for the rest of our lives. So let's go do the thing that matters. So having Mike be that guy, I think, works really, really well. I also am with you guys on the I believe, because I just think that there's enough evidence. I mean, the one point that you'd say you have to believe that Kali didn't actually, that Hopper didn't actually see Kali dead. Whether she did like a shroud over him and he saw her as dead or whatever, that's the only part you have to believe, because otherwise it makes way more sense to believe what Mike believes. They did have the psionics pointed at her. She was not balling up into a person who can't do anything, and she never had a nosebleed. So there's enough evidence there to suggest that believing is not crazy, right? It's like no, that actually makes a lot of sense. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's like a decent theory. I thought that Max and Lucas are like my favorite of the couple, so I'm really glad that they survived. I think it makes sense that they survived. It was cool to see them. It's cool to see her playing with them, which I thought was awesome. And then it was cool to see them living life as normal without making it be so weird situation with Will. You know what I mean? Like, and they so in other words, they proved out the thing that they told him, which is like, this is not going to affect our lives, man. We're still going to respect you. Yeah. We're still going to love you. We're still going to be a brother of ours. So I thought all of that was cool. I thought Dustin doing the Eddie inspired speech was well done. And it was a good tribute to Eddie. And then I know you didn't ask me about this part, but I also love that Mike's sister has taken over the D&D game, and that the new batch of kids
I was gonna get to them next. The little kids.
The little kids. That was great.
I don't know. I have a bias on that because I wanted it to be Erica.
Kind of leading the charge on the next
generation.
That's fair.
They kind of abandoned Erica, to be honest. They did abandon her a little bit. Yeah,
her and the teacher get away, and that's all we know.
Yeah.
Oh, notice her and the teacher get away because Erica knows what she's doing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh man, Linda Hamilton couldn't do anything.
If I had another really minor complaint, I would have said that they did not utilize Linda Hamilton to her full potential, and she was just kind of a mustache twirling villain that didn't amount to much. I would have said.
Yeah, because I mean, they even I think Kylie even called her mama, so it was like basically she was becoming the next. It's like, hey, we're starting this program back up. That we're going to similar to Firestarter. Like, hey, because we experimented on the parents. The parents had a child, but in Stranger Things, they're kind of forcing them to have children. In Firestarter, it's kind of like they just happen to have a kid. It's like, oh, snap, you got powers. Yeah. So they were always going to start the program up again, but I will say, yeah, Linda Hamilton definitely didn't get an opportunity to really show what she has for a second. When she was kind of face to face with Hopper, it was like, ooh,
yeah,
oh, we're ruthless. Okay,
yeah.
And even when she was talking to Elle, I was like, oh, okay, all right. So, but we didn't get a lot of it,
right?
So I agree, yeah. But on the Holly tip, yeah, I like Holly, Derek, they're all like excited, and then the way Mike looked at them, like, yeah, and I even felt proud too. I was like,
yeah,
good on you. Totally. You know what I'm saying? The next generation, because I remember I didn't have a basement to play
Story 3, huh?
Yeah, because like I'm sure we all played some form of D&D, some type of, kind of a tabletop-ish game.
Yeah.
Like for me, it was just me, myself, and the game master, and we sat in the cul-de-sac and played. But I mean, when you're in school, you don't have anything. Play basketball, play video games, ride your bike. That's it. But of course, I came up at a certain time. Now, I don't think I see any kids really riding bikes. And not to say that I'm hating on it, but I'm like, hey, you guys are missing out. That's like your first car. Okay?
A lot of them these days have e-bikes, dude.
Oh yeah, that's right. I don't need to pedal.
Yeah, exactly.
I shout
it looks
pedal.
fun. I gotta be honest, it looks super fun, but they're not pedaling.
I'm like, don't get me wrong. For all of the dirt bike jumps all the dirt that we dug up together, those things go too fast for y'all. All right.
Oh, 100%.
Y'all need to go back to regular bikes.
Yeah.
Because those e-bikes can actually move. So. It's like, no. But yeah, that's like your first car, man. So it's like, hey, get back into the bikes. Trust me. Well, it also depends on how far your mom will let you go, stuff like that.
More to the point, how far you can get before your mom realizes that you're going farther than she would let you go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That the game kind of continuing on was something nice. And I think they laid the groundwork for something that was satisfying for everybody. At least generally. What I've seen were the thing that I think that's good about this ending is that I've seen people that are sort of picking small pieces that they didn't like.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen anyone say the finale doesn't work.
Right.
Season 5 doesn't work. This show is trash.
Right.
I think what it is kind of like we were remarking on earlier. They didn't land the plane exactly how I wanted.
Right.
So it's nitpick time.
Yeah. Exactly right.
I've seen quite a few reviews talking about the last part with the coming out conversation. A lot of people were okay. I'm not really down with that. And I'm like, look, I get how a lot of people are talking, but I was there, all right? And this is one of those things where I talk a little bit, not a lot, a little bit, about looking at old principles through a modern lens, okay? Mm-hmm. Will had to come out because their enemy preyed on their secrets and their insecurities. So he had to get through that particular insecurity of the people he loved seeing him differently. He had to give them the chance not to. That was big. And second, the whole process of coming out was real different in 86. Okay, sorry, they're class of 80. They're 5 years my seniors. No, they're class of 89.
Yeah.
So they're coming out right before Batman,
Yeah.
So this is 90, and things were a little different. You couldn't. It wasn't like, oh well, yeah, that ain't no big deal. All that other stuff. We're talking in the middle of the AIDS crisis, just a bit past Satanic Panic when it came to D&D, rise of the moral panic of video games. Like, they're going from the 80s to the 90s, and it was not a smooth time. So the phobias out there were real big. Again, we spent a whole season, the season before, looking at the popular kids form a lynch mob to track down and kill a D&D player for something that he didn't do.
Now, in their defense, internet, stop it, okay? Just stop it. Before you NERDSoul, you can tell where his loyalties lie. No. Imagine your girlfriend or boyfriend goes over a guy's house that we all already think or believe is worshiping Satan. She ends up dead in a real crazy way. So that's why I'm like, the crazy thing about that is his fear and anger is valid, but it's also scary at how fast it went. But then Vecna was dropping people like flies. He killed like 3 people like in one episode. So like,
now, look, I'm not saying I don't understand the sentiment. I'm saying these people were forming lynch mobs, regardless of what their point of view was. And then you got Will. Let's face it, Stranger Things could have been called Will Goes Through Hell, season 1.
Yeah.
And season 2.
And I'm talking just the beginning. All right, yeah. This is season 1 of Will Goes Through Hell. We finally finished season 5 of Will Goes Through Hell. But yeah, him coming out in 1989, that was a huge deal. And I'm saying that because I've seen it 100 times. The most welcoming place I've seen somebody come out was a black family. And I say the most welcoming, it wasn't always welcoming. You know what I mean? And they're in Indiana. They're in middle America. They're in places that, I made fun of it last week. And shouts out to my people from Indiana. But it's still not the most progressive place in the world. So his fears were valid. His insecurities were valid. And the only way to get over that stuff or to get through that stuff is for him to know that the people that have always had his back would still have his back if he was one of the most socially unacceptable things a person can be in middle America in the 1980s. I think that was a very important story beat.
I think,
and a lot of people don't want to hear that.
Well, no,
I'm sorry if you don't want to hear it, but if he hadn't, it would have been another weapon in Henry's arsenal to use against him. But now it's like, I know your secret. I'm going to tell your friends. Told them already. Oh, well, okay. Well, damn. Well, you're still weak.
Now, I will say,
weak little.
The argument that I think what people were upset about, or the ones that I've seen, because I know since Twitter exists, I know there's other arguments, but the arguments that I have seen that I'm like, I see where you're coming from, and I even feel that way. It's like, I know you're insecure about this, I know you're scared about this, but you should trust. We are the ones you should trust. I can understand like the guys that beat up Dustin and stuff. Them, I get it. But us, you should trust. Also, it would have been nice to have a line like, bro, we always gonna be crew. Like, what you mean? Like, we're always gonna be cool. Like that would have, at least in my opinion, I would have liked that. But I know you kind of have to have that story beat, because if he believes in his friends and that his friends will not feel, then he doesn't have the fear, then you can't play that out. So I guess you can't really do one without the other, sort of, but you could have the statement where it's like, Will, like, it's okay. Like, you my boy. Like, we cool.
And they kind of had that in part 2 while they were walking through the desert, and Mike was like, all right, this is where I messed up.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It should have been in part 1 when he first said it. That should have come from pretty much Lucas, Dustin, and Mike. Like, come on, man. Like, so?
Like, for real?
Like, we're brothers. We have been through the fire. Like, you don't have to worry about us. Now, of course, we know it's 89, so we can't guarantee anyone outside of this room. But inside this room, we got your back, man. We here. Like, we have gone to the wormhole and back.
They said it. They just said it in white person Indiana.
Indiana.
And also, it should be noted, like, it wasn't until 1990 that a homosexual person could legally immigrate to the United States. Like, that's the kind of environment they were living in. Yeah. So that's the kind of environment that a homosexual person was dealing with at that time.
Well,
so
how did they even know? Well, I guess some people you kind of... But still,
just don't disclose
before y'all come at me, I used to work in West Hollywood. Stop it. Like, some of y'all, we kind of know. But all I'm saying is, like, how would they know from, like, I guess other people? But
No,
are you homosexual?
They're coming from a place where it was okay. They didn't know to hide it.
Right.
So when it came out with the application, they like, oh yeah, no, that's cool.
Yeah.
And America would be like, yeah, no, it's not.
So I think the thing I would say is that, and this is going back to my earliest point about, like, my frustration with online critique, because it's not critique. And the reason it's not critique is, let me explain. You can say, I don't like the way a thing was handled because it hurt the pacing. I don't like a way a thing was handled because I felt like the other characters weren't responding the way that a real person would respond. I don't like, and you, in other words, you have to have a why for what you're about to criticize, right? That's the whole point of critique, is I'm going to break down exactly what it is that bugs me about this. But in internet language, all we get is, I don't like the gay stuff. You know what I mean? Like, so internet language is not very helpful because it is not critical. Internet language is opinion based, and therefore it tends to be more team building than it does actual critique that could help people understand why they like something or why they don't like something. And the danger about that is that you could not like the scene because it was paced weird, but when you hear someone else say it that you like and they go, I didn't like it because it was coming out and it was gay, then you think, oh, that must be why I didn't like it. No.
Oh yeah, and then you get lumped in.
Then you get lumped in.
We get lumped in. So then I get lumped in with the I don't like gay stuff.
Exactly.
It's like, no, I don't. Like, I don't care whether you have gay stuff or not. Like, I mean, I'm just like, yo, the scene, at least to a family of people that have kind of proven that they love this guy.
Yeah.
I wish that he would have had more trust and belief in his friends and family, that they would have his back. Yeah. And still, that's kind of where my argument is. Not so much of like, I just don't like the gay stuff. But you're right. You do get lumped in with her. Like, if you say if we don't like, what's the show? Okay, Motherland Fort Salem. Oh, Motherland Fort Salem is a show about, it's post-apocalyptic kind of alternate history kind of thing. And there are wizards and so there's witches and wizards or whatever, but the witches are kind of like, the women are more I guess, prominent, or it's more of a matriarchy, and they're in the military, and women do stuff pretty much all the time, and they're like kind of at the forefront. So if you like the show at all, you're apparently woke. And what woke essentially means in modern critique is black stuff that I don't like. And so what ends up happening
Not
is
white male stuff that I don't like.
yeah. But usually it trends towards, every now and then it'll hit, a white lady, but usually it tends towards black stuff, whether it's like music or, politics or something like that. So anyway, then it's like, oh, NERDSoul doing this woke stuff. I'm like, no, the show is actually kind of dope. I like it. It's cool. They're like doing cool magical stuff, and they're like fighting and stuff. It's sweet. And also, it's a show that was not afraid to drop bodies like that. They did not mind killing people in that show. But still, what happens is you get like lumped in with, oh, well, this person is woke or this person isn't woke. And it's like, well, no, just because I don't like this scene doesn't mean I don't like gay people or gay storylines or gay relationships in the movie or something. Like, I don't like this because of how I don't believe he trusted his family, and also I don't like that they didn't write that his family reassured him on the spot.
Well,
don't leave that story thread hanging.
Know that it was. See, I didn't know that it was. I didn't see that it was his family he didn't trust. I literally saw that it was his friends, specifically Mike.
Oh, okay.
'Cause one thing to come out and say, "Look, I'm gay," and your boy is being like, "Oh no, I got you. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm gay. Oh, dude, I got you. We boys. And I have a thing for you. The next thing, it's like, oh, well, and it's like, dude, you don't have to have one back. That's what I think he was most afraid of. It wasn't just coming out, but it was coming out and confessing his love to Mike. And I love that in that scene, it was very much the, oh no, I had a thing for a certain person, but it wasn't about him. It was really about me. And, for the record, y'all, I ain't gay. All right. Just in case the people out there would be like, oh, he's just saying, no. But I'll tell you this. Anybody who's ever fallen for a friend ain't gonna be like, look, I know we've been friends for 11 years, but I want to take it to the next level without fear. Okay? Everybody, I don't care what your preference is, because there's still fear of rolling those dice and losing everything. I'm fine with that, but I can't really be friends with you no more because I'm not comfortable around you.
Now, story-wise, I don't, and Jay let me know, and Solar let me know, I don't feel like they made it explicit that he let Mike know that he had a thing for Mike. At least I didn't read the scene like that.
Yeah, they did with the camera. When he came out, he specifically said, and I really had, and I was in love with somebody, and he looked dead at Mike, and the camera pointed directly at Mike. Yeah. And they have been showing that he has a special bond toward Mike from seasons 2, 3, and 4. So it was like,
but do you mean more so, Michael? Do you mean more so from like Mike knowing that, or us knowing that?
Mike knowing that. I don't think in that conversation or like a meeting, I don't know, whatever, powwow, whatever you want to call it. I don't think that he made Mike know explicitly. I think that was kind of like left for us to be like, oh, well, he let Mike know. I don't think they wrote it like, or maybe showed it like that, or maybe I could have missed it. But
yeah, I think they kind of made Mike put it together slowly, which is why they had the conversation in the
okay, all right.
Because remember, that conversation was specifically between Mike and Will.
Gotcha.
And Mike going, I pushed and did all this, and I didn't think about this. I didn't think about this. Because I remember the conversation was like, it's not my fault you don't like girls. And you just saw. So back in, I think, 92, there was a show called Tiny Toon Adventures, and they had the high school dance episode, right? And the skunk brought just a kicking chick up there with like a grown-up who was fully developed to this junior high school dance. And Elmira was all about the Yosemite Sam thing. And he was just like, he just tore into her. And she's like, well, what do you mean? What are you saying? And he said, I don't like you. And you got to see her, and then a crack showed, and then like a bunch of other cracks, then a spider web, and she just fell apart. And then he did the same thing to that nurse, and she said those words to him, and he froze up, and the whole world just blew up behind him, you know? And the whole world blew up. Everybody was gone. It was nuclear fallout, and he just walked into the emptiness and sat on a log. Again, brilliant animation, and it wasn't even at 60 frames a second.
Yep.
But when Mike said to Will, I think it was in season 2 or whatever season that Max was introduced, because that was
3.
the mall season.
Yeah, 3.
You sure it was 3? Okay.
Yeah.
Because
2 was the mind flayer, and 3 was the mall.
Yeah. And Mike said, it's not my fault that you don't like girls. When he saw Will slink away, you know, that kind of set the tone. And they just kept kind of that. And their trip to California kind of wrote that tone in season 4. So Mike, most charismatic, not the most intelligent, kind of needed some time after that.
Oh man, not the most intelligent. This cold.
Yeah. He kind of needed some time to process what was going on, and then when he got it, he had that talk. He had that aside with him in the desert, you know. Because I'm like, okay, they did that whole thing, but this doesn't feel like resolution between those two. You know, I mean, it feels like resolution for Will's character, but not resolution between Will and Mike. You know, it's like, no, those two still have a talk. You know, so
understood. Because even when they went and had their talk, I was like, well, like, haven't y'all covered this? Then I was like, well, I guess they could do a one-on-one thing. I was like, all right, but I'll throw it to Jay because we've been on for a long time. So I'm gonna throw it to Jay. Jay, give us your final thoughts.
Final thoughts is that I loved it. I mean, it's like I said, because this is what my experience was. After season 1, I'm like, wow, this is a phenomenal show. I had no idea that this and season 1 is still my favorite season. Let's just be clear. After season 2, I'm like, wow, they just keep hitting it out of the park. Like, this is so good. After season 3, I'm like, I like this even better than season 2. After season 4, I'm like, this is my second favorite season of this show. So I went into season 5 at like I think Stranger Things is my favorite show of all time, but are they going to ruin that by having a season 5 that I just can't deal with, right? And that was not the case. Now, is season 5 going to be in my top 3? I don't know. Season 1 is still my favorite. Season 4 is still my second favorite. Season 5 and season 3 over time will have to shake themselves out to see which one I like better. I do like season 5 better than season 2. Season 2 is great. It's just a little dark for me personally.
Season 2 is very dark. It's like when I watched it back through, I was like, wow, this is very dark. And there's not a lot of we have everything that's happening to Will, especially when his body is like frying, when they're frying and then what Elle is going through, becoming like the Dark Phoenix, which I just call that her Dark Phoenix saga. And like, you know, it is a dark season, and I think that's what people don't like about it, is that I think it's a little too dark.
Or there's some people who like think that that's what the show should be, and so they don't like it when it's like lighter hearted, and they don't like season 3 because of that, right? So everybody has their opinions on it, but so for me, this season finale, it did all the things that I needed as a huge fan of this show. It doesn't mean that it was perfect, but like I said, subjectively, from what I wanted and what I got, it's a 10 out of 10. yes, there are problems with it. I'm not saying there aren't problems with it, but that doesn't matter. Those problems don't matter to me. Those are not problems that I am like.
They're
I
not
want
big
to spend
enough to
time
like
thinking.
break anything.
Yeah, and they're not things that I want to spend time thinking about. Like when I saw the finale of Lost, when I saw the finale of Game of Thrones, those took the show down a notch for me, right? Those had problems
you just
that I'm
said
like,
both of those things and it hit me. I'm just like, oh no, oh no.
Exactly. Those are rough, you know. Like those are the ways you end shows where you go, oh, you soured my taste for a show that I at one time loved and could have stayed like made my top 5.
Yeah.
But I thought that this was handled just really emotionally well. I cried, I laughed, I was on the edge of my seat wondering what was going to happen. I cheered. I mean, all of the things that I wanted from that show for me worked. So yeah, I loved it. I think it was great. There's a lot of haters, which makes me frustrated. But there's also some really funny critiques that I'm like, that's actually hilarious that you said that, and like I'm actually laughing with you, even though it doesn't bother me, right? Like it's like, okay, that's fine. So yeah, I thought it was great.
All right, cool. Where can they find you?
You can find me at How Stories Work with Jay Sherer. I need to do a new video, and I'm going to do a new video. And let me tell you what it's going to be about. I was rewatching Titanic with my wife.
Oh.
And there's a video on YouTube where this guy breaks down how we used to be able to feel film. We could like, it had other senses were working with film other than our eyes, but how a lot of new films, it just feels like they're just eye candy and we can't really feel them. It's a great video. If you type in haptic versus optic, you can go watch it on YouTube right now. And I've been saying that a lot in a different way from a writing standpoint, not like a filmmaking standpoint. I've been talking about it from we lose track of the shared human experience, and when we lose track of that experience, it means that I have a harder time connecting with the art. And James Cameron has a scene. I'm gonna do a video about it, but it starts with a key moment in the film. And it ends with this pullback of the camera. And when you pull back the camera, you see the entire boat, and there's literally CG characters walking around on the boat. But here's the thing. It works because of the moment that he gave us beforehand that we felt. We felt the moment. We felt the sea on our face. We felt the wind on our face. We saw the dolphins in the water. Like, we felt all of those things so that when you got to the kind of maybe not perfect CG, you were like, I don't care. I'm bought in. They're on a boat. And I'm on the boat with them, and I'm feeling the same emotions that they're feeling. And I think that that's an important lesson to be learned for people who want to pick apart things but not know what they're talking about. Like, why is James Cameron the only filmmaker who has 4 of the top 5 films, most money-making films of all time, are James Cameron films? That's crazy. That's an insane thing. Well, this is an example of why. Because you feel his films. It's not just you see his films, you feel his films. And that's pretty amazing. So that's my next video. Stay tuned for that.
Cool. All right. Sola, final thoughts? Where can they find you?
My final thoughts is I'm satisfied, but I'm also sad that it's over.
Yes.
It was a really good show. Mm-hmm. And when I say that, I can say it from a production standpoint, you know. Even as I was watching the show, the production guy in me was like, man, it must have been a pain to do all of that plastic goop. I wondered, did they fiberglass? But the Duffer Brothers were wise enough to hire writers and directors to really play to the strengths that the stories needed. I cared about these kids. I really cared about those kids, and I judge story through experience and character more than I do about production value, CGI, anything like that.
Okay.
And this goes all the way back to the 70s, you know? When I was a kid, I wanted to be Darth Vader. You know, I just wanted to be that cool. When I read it, I wanted to be Pennywise. And then when the prequels came out, I didn't want to be Darth Vader anymore. You know, nor did I want to be Luke Skywalker. You know, it was, I just didn't feel the characters. I tried so hard, you know? And with this show, I cared about those characters. I wanted Dustin to be okay. I wanted Will to have a good week. You know, I didn't want to see Harrington die. I did want to see Sam's older brother die. I wanted to see. I really wanted to see Mike's mom get a break. You know, I wanted a whole show just based off of Hopper being tired of everything and trying to be better, you know. And then when they introduced Maya Hawke, Robin, when they introduced Robin, I'm like, okay, who's this person? I'm a little, all right, no, she's cool. She's cool. Yeah, I can rock with Robin. All right, I'm rocking with Robin. And I love how this show, not flawlessly, but masterfully, introduced characters and made you give a damn, you know, about all of them. Like, I was happy to see most of the characters on screen when they came on screen. And the adventure that they went on, look, I'm gonna put it out there. I've never really liked Kids on Bikes adventures, okay? I didn't see E.T. until I was a teenager. I didn't like the Goonies. Hook doesn't count as one, but I never really liked them. The only ones I've ever really liked were from Stephen King, you know, because they're Kids on Bikes adventures, but they're more introspective introspective character pieces. Stand By Me being the biggest one. So when it came to that kind of thing, I'm like, oh, it's a Kids on Bikes story. But it was an adventure, and never once during any of the climaxes did I think that these kids shouldn't have had a chance, that these characters shouldn't have had a chance, you know. And my suspension of disbelief goes real large, like really large. But from season 1, where they were doing all the stuff with the walkie-talkies and they were outmatched and they needed help from the other two groups, to season 5, you know, where you got the teenagers taking down the giant mechanical spider and the rest of them trying to set the bomb and all the stuff that they were doing, you know, from getting Max out of the hospital from the demo dogs and, you know, the best field goal kick that the NERDSoul channel has ever seen, to even Mike telling his mom, look, you are too busted up and we're gonna have to get this, you know. Like, you get to see the progression, and the challenges of the characters were challenging but not impossible, you know what I mean? And that's really hard to do, and in the ordinary people versus extraordinary circumstances kind of way. And when they did the power-ups in a reasonable way that didn't take away from these are just regular people, you know, and I like that a lot. It didn't become, say, Buffy, where at the end of it, everybody had a supernatural thing and everybody was scaled up. And it was, no, these are still just people. They got some skills. They got to use their brain. They're still outmatched. And they're in what seems to be an not a no-win situation, but a hard-to-win situation. They kept it Die Hard, and I like that. You know, 5 seasons of Die Hards 1 and 2, you know, versus the rest of the franchise. And I think a lot of writers should take a lot of notes about what these writers and directors did with this show. Honestly, I'm really hoping the production team gets about a year off so they can come back fresh and do something like that again. And if you guys like the way that I speak and like the stuff I talk about, y'all can come see me on my YouTube channel, BidP Blurred or Solar Grey. You know, it comes up both under the Google thing. I still have to do that. And I'm soon going to be back on Twitch talking about storytelling, D&D, tabletop miniatures, games, and just interacting with people in general. So you guys can look for me at that. And while you guys are typing, trying to look me up right now, you could hit that subscribe button too, because we're going to be talking about another show. So like 3 of
Yeah, soon we'll be talking about something else.
Yeah.
All right,
yeah,
cool.
Exactly.
Man, I'm just happy. We got a show that I remember thinking, hey, this looks kind of cool. And wow, 5 seasons of what I would consider top-notch storytelling, top-notch, effects, stakes, all that. I'm just, wow. And they did it. They pulled it off. Wow. They landed the plane. I'm satisfied. This is a good show. I wish we would get more. Technically, we'll get the stage play. I'm pretty sure they'll film it and put it on. Similar like Solar, like you said, with Hamilton. So I'm sure we'll get that. But this might be the end. But if it is the end, I'm happy. I'm happy with it. I'm interested to see what Duffer Brothers do next. I know they're signed to do something new for Paramount, so they'll be doing something for them. I don't know what it is because they've been real tight-lipped about it. But
they just announced today, by the way. I looked it up. They just announced today that it's going to be something to do, nothing to do with the Mind Flayer, but something to do with the stone that comes out of the briefcase and why it was in the briefcase.
Wow, really? I didn't know they were gonna continue on in this world.
Well, it's technically like paranormal related, but not related to like the same like Dimension X, all that kind of stuff. I don't think, at least not the Mind Flayer part of it. So
yeah, because it is kind of like where'd that come from? And then that was also a touching moment where what happened to Henry essentially was done over again, but in the way that we could save Will, we can't save Henry. So Henry was even brought to tears, and it was kind of like, no, this is me. And it's like, but it's not you, man. But touching, dope, amazing. And you can apply that to real life stories and stuff. Because that part with Henry, when he cried and was like, no, it chose me or something like that. It's just like, no.
It showed me that the world was broken. And I said, oh, here we go.
It's like,
here we go.
It never was.
Because they tried for their Return of the Jedi moment, and it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Me too.
Like I love Return of the Jedi when he looks at Luke and he says, it's too late for me. And you can just feel, even through the mask, you can feel like, yeah, he's looking back on like all the Jedi that he tracked down and killed and all that. Like, because if you watch, of course, he killed the younglings, that. But if you also read the Vader comics, which are top quality, like I will say Marvel rolled out their top writers and artists for the Vader comics, so, and they're also in hardcover, so treat yourself. I think they're in oversized hardcover, but I'm still waiting for them to go on sale, so but anyway, but it's extremely well written. Like the Vader comics are extremely well written, and you can see the weight. Like, yeah, I've had a hand in destroying the Jedi. Absolutely destroy it. It's too late for me. But then also finding at the end that he does overcome that feeling to save what at that time is the future. Now, of course, the future then takes the lightsaber and throws it over a cliff. Look, let it go. But no, this show is awesome. I'm glad we got it. And we were treated to a master class, especially in handling an ensemble cast. There's like 20 characters in the show. So, of course, NERD, SOUL, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, podcast, all that jazz. Till the next time that you want to talk about some crazy movies or TV shows or something, we'll probably be here. And Also, check out the 2025 movies and what I learned from all of them, because there's some lessons in there for y'all. I saw a lot of movies. I'm going to see a movie tonight. But anyway, love all y'all. Stay real. Peace.
Later.
We out.